Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to be watching DSP talk about maybe selling merch again. Big shout out to Snort Hogan for this upload. The link will be in the description below. But without any more, let's get into it.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Snort, snort, snort,
Hogan. Drip.
snort, snort.
I got the drip. Go.
Soggy Gambino says, wasn't there an idea to release new merch this year? There was. And if you remember earlier this year, I said, hey, if anyone would be interested in making some logos or stuff.
I love that as soon as we come into the video, he's begging for someone to do free labor for him. That's how we got into the situation with Arkham the other day. This video was recorded the day before the Arkham stuff actually happened, so I guess he hasn't learned his lesson yet.
And also, I needed suggestions of places to sell merch. Because if you remember, why do I not have merch right now?
My first guess would be that it wasn't even worth maintaining because people don't like you enough to buy anything from you. Aside from Jade and maybe Derek, I can't imagine anyone's actually walking around with a DSP shirt. And if they are, they deserve to be bullied 100%.
If you remember, I had merch starting in 2017. When I became a full-time streamer, you guys asked me to start selling merchandise. I didn't care about it. I wasn't looking to make money doing it, but you guys wanted me to.
Yeah, DSP, it was pretty evident that you didn't give a shit about the shirts to begin with. Most of the designs didn't even pertain to you in any sort of specific way. And the designs that you have that do pertain to you really only pertain to you because they say your fucking name on them or have a character that kind of looks like you with that stupid shitty goatee of yours. I mean, let's look at these. You got the King of Retro, which you hate older games. All you do is bitch about them nonstop when you play them. So King of Retro, my ass. The top middle one, you can't even make out. What does that have to do with you? Oh, it says DSP Gaming under it. Wow. Really original. The top left, you've got you running away from a skeleton that says, I hate skeletons. Is that supposed to be from Dark Souls? Is that a thing you said? Because that's not the most memorable thing you said in that playthrough. You've got one where you're kind of doing a Sonic looking pose or in a Sonic circle or something. That white sweatshirt, I can't even read what it says. Like, I know it says DSP Gaming, but like from here it just looks like a mishmash of shit. And I've always hated that bottom middle one. I don't know what is that, like, supposed to be Japanese? Are you supposed to be like a chibi kind of character? Because I don't know what you have to do with either of those things. And to say you're not trying to make money on something doesn't even make sense if you're literally selling merch. Regardless of how much money you actually make off of them or how much profit you get per shirt, doesn't matter. You're still looking to make something, and that automatically makes you a liar by saying that you're not looking to make money.
So that was when apparently Teespring got wind that I had said that, and Teespring reached out to me. I did not go to Teespring. They actually contacted me, and they said, we're looking for content creators who want to sell merch. We heard you say that you wanted to. We'd like to set you up with your own Teespring store. We'd like to do your initial designs and everything.
Yeah, I bet they fucking regretted that real quick.
I said, sounds good.
I bet you fucking did, DSP. They said that they would do free work for you. How could you turn that down? You can't even turn that down today.
So we did this within like a 2-month period. I worked with Teespring. They designed some initial designs. We set up my store. What ended up happening was over the course of that year, like 2017 to 2018, a few of my fans actually designed some really nice logos and things for shirts. And I put out a big merch line. This is some of it you see right here. This Skull King logo, this graffiti logo. These were some of the shirts that were designed and put up on Teespring.
And neither of those designs really have anything to do with you aside from saying your name. Are you a Skull King? Do you represent yourself with a skull, like a skull and a crown typically? Are you an urban dude? Do you do graffiti? Do you have kind of a street personality? I don't think so. I think you come off like a bum personally. That's about as street as you get, is coming off like a fucking bum.
Teespring was well aware of who I was, the content I had put out. They reached out to me to make a Teespring store and work on it, okay?
Just because they reached out to you doesn't mean that they were familiar with the content that you actually do. They did not sift through all of the DSP content and think to themselves, yeah, this would be a great guy to represent our business. No, they just seen a content creator who was looking to have a store, and they said, hey, this is an opportunity for us. And quit interrupting your fucking stories to bite your nails so viciously, dude. It's not that deep.
Because, by the way, the prices, I always kept them down. No exaggeration. I was making $1 a shirt. That's how much money I was making.
You might have sold more fucking shirts if you updated the thing and took care of it and had better designs that actually pertain to you that your viewers would want to wear, but you didn't give a fuck about it, and it was evident every time you talked about it. You just wanted that sweet, sweet money.
So that store existed from 2017 all the way through 2021. And all of a sudden in 2021, now keep in mind, I didn't actively look at this store at all. Like every once in a while, maybe I would look at it, update it, change the storefront. But I wasn't selling anything on it. Like seriously, I was making no sales. Maybe I'd sell one shirt a month, if that.
He's sitting here bitching about only making $1 per shirt, but if you give him $1 on a stream, sometimes you can get him to talk for 45 minutes straight and pause the game when he does it. So let's not be ungrateful for $1 now.
Because I wasn't doing it for profit. I was doing it to have merch for my fans because they wanted merch. They wanted some swag. I never made a big profit on anything on Teespring. I think the most profitable month I ever had was like I made $120. That was a Christmas one year. That was it. So it was always fan service for you guys, okay?
Was it fan service when you got on pre-stream every day and shilled soap and t-shirts? Because I've never seen another content creator give back to their community by shilling.
So in 2021, someone tells me my Teespring store is down. And I'm like, it is? Really? And I look, I've received no notifications, nothing. Nothing from anyone about this. Okay? I go to my page, it's gone. The account is closed. Huh? What do you mean? I didn't close it. I had nothing to do with this. So I wrote Teespring support.
He wrote their support. I'm surprised he didn't just tweet at their social media team like he loves to do. And it's strange that he loves to tweet social media teams for support when you can only contact him by email or he's not responding.
And they ghosted me for the longest time. Eventually, they did give me a response, and they said, your account has been closed and is not able to be reopened. This is our final decision. That was it.
LOL, get fucked.
They never told me why. They never told me what was wrong with the account. Nothing. Keep in mind, they're the ones who reached out to me in 2017. I didn't go to them. They wanted me on their site.
And then they did, and there's nothing you can do about it. Sometimes people give and sometimes they take. Unlike you, Dave, where you always take.
In 2017. So for 4 years, I was on their business selling merch and they never had a problem. And then all of a sudden one day they just closed my store with no notice and not telling me what I did. You know? So I'm like, what the hell, right? What's up with that? I don't get it, you know? So, I mean, is it well within their right? It is. Anyone can choose at any point to not do business with someone. But what did I do? Did I violate a rule?
They should have had a rule in place that stopped such low-effort designs. That would have saved us a lot of shilling segments.
Right, what was it? Because they, again, if it was something like, well, we don't like you and your content. Well, you reached out to me in 2017. You knew well about who I was and all my content.
Again, just because they reached out to you doesn't mean that they were familiar with everything you'd done. The amount of hours and manpower it would take to sift through every piece of shit content you've ever put out is astounding. They definitely weren't familiar with all of it. I believe he even says later that once some of these things were brought to their attention was when they decided to no longer work with him. So clearly they weren't fucking familiar with these aspects of your content.
They even designed my first shirts. I have shirts they made. Like, for example, the one that says, I'm pushing buttons, and it has all various directions and button inputs on the shirt. They made that one, not me. So if they knew all about it, then why did they kick me off the site? It didn't make any sense. Now, come to find out, within a 2-month period, I was kicked off of Twitch's partner program. I was kicked out of one and then both of the popular payment processors for things like tips, and then it was Teespring. So what happened was, I did find out eventually what happened. What happened was, first of all these companies essentially went woke.
Yeah, DSP, because you're such a based individual living in the Matrix. When I think of targets for wokeness, it's definitely DSP and Andrew Tate, top of the list, tied. He's always just got to be the victim, doesn't he?
And what that means is, during this time period, they all wanted to become ultra liberal, and they got a lot of pressure from management and other things to get rid of people who they thought were problematic. Not to say that anything that I do is necessarily problematic.
If their goal was to get rid of people that they found problematic for the betterment of their business, that makes you problematic, doesn't it, DSP? That's a bull-faced lie, DSP. You're probably one of the most problematic content creators I'm aware of. You said a whole lot of things you should not have been saying on video on the internet forever. A lot of that stuff did not age well. You said it yourself. You were trying to be like Howard Stern back then. Would Howard Stern not be problematic in the modern day? Like, you didn't think about this statement at all. You're just lying so you can pull that classic, I did everything right, I did nothing wrong fucking mentality. It's embarrassing, man.
But I've got a giant hater base. And what my hater base was doing was going around. They had actually created, I'm not even shitting you. I know this sounds like crazy, but this is my life. They created a package, a portfolio of what they considered my most offensive content I've ever put out. Even though most of that content isn't even on the internet right now, and it's certainly not anything I've done in the last decade.
I mean, the portfolio was obviously your content. They were actual things that you had done and said on the internet. Now, I don't agree with bringing up things that people have done to their employers in an effort to get them fired or canceled or whatever. But you are responsible for all the things that you put on the internet. And saying that you haven't done it in the last decade is not an excuse at all. That's just an arbitrary time frame that you keep giving because you're past it. Now you say you haven't done it in a decade, but before you were saying I haven't done it in 8 years, and I haven't done it in 5 years. I haven't done that in literal years. Like, you just keep changing the goalposts to make it sound like you're a better person when you're not. That's who you are, and you just hide it better now. And just because it's not on your channel doesn't mean it's not on the internet. If it wasn't on the internet anymore, then how did they get a profile of it and send it to somebody? Clearly, it's still on the internet somewhere. There's hundreds and hundreds of re-uploads of your shit, DSP. It's out there. People can see it. And you have to live with that because you did it. Your inability to take responsibility for things that you've actually done is always astounding. I'm always surprised. And I really can't fault any company for not wanting to work with you. I mean, you beat off on stream, you've been derogatory towards many different types of people, and you have a shitty attitude and are difficult to work with. So yeah, I get why they don't want to fucking work with you. Rightfully so. No one should work with you. People in real life shouldn't even deal with you. And you've made that evident recently with your Comcast story or your internet story because you didn't want to give out the company name or whatever.
They put together a portfolio of offensive content. And they started going around to these companies and sending this to like their customer support complaint lines saying, are you aware that you have a person as part of your program who said and did this stuff? How do you support this? How do you condone this? Blah, blah, blah.
And again, I don't agree with doing this, but I mean, you reap what you sow, DSP. You act like a shitlord on the internet, and the internet becomes as big as it is and as important as it is. And people on the internet are going to talk about things that happened on the internet and the people who did those things on the internet. I don't understand how you're not following this, man. You should have been a better person through your entire life, and you have no one to blame but yourself.
Right? So you're like, well, why did I get kicked out of the partner program on Twitch? Literally, I have evidence because someone at Twitch, who I'm never going to reveal this, who it was, someone at Twitch showed me the evidence.
So even back then, DSP had spies working for him everywhere. Some things never change, man. They never change.
That this is what was sent to our company, and this went basically to the complaint department. It went to management. When management saw it, they decided to cut you out of the part. They weren't going to ban you from the site because the stuff that they saw was never done on Twitch. But they decided behind the scenes that because of stuff that I did over 10 years ago, that this was a cancelable action in 2011, and therefore they didn't want me to be part of their partner program. Yeah. It's messed up.
Again, I can't blame a company for not wanting to work with you, man. I don't give a fuck about how long ago it was. You are just scum.
But that's what happened. And they did this Twitch, Teespring, and like I said, those other payment like processors for tips, all of those got the same package of stuff. And they're all idiots. They're all dumbass, woke-ass leftist companies.
I mean, they might be dumbass, woke-ass leftist companies, but at least they didn't file for bankruptcy like you did. Can't be that stupid, I guess, can they?
That's how they're run. And they saw, oh, he said something offensive a decade ago. We can't have that guy in our program. And they banned me. So what happened was Teespring overnight kicked me out and didn't even tell me. I didn't even know till you guys told me. Okay? Now, here's the thing. I said, this year, would I consider bringing back merch? Sure. If you notice, I don't do any kind of offensive content. I just don't. There's nothing offensive about my content. The most offensive content you'll find is I'm playing Street Fighter and I call someone a scrub and they didn't earn their win. You know, fuck them, go to hell, stuff like that.
The word offensive is a very subjective term. I personally find you very offensive, DSP, the way you get on stream every day and beg and just act like a total asshole and be completely disagreeable. And that definitely fits into the term offensive. You are, in fact, an unpleasant sensation, by definition. You do create displeasure and resentment. Again, by definition, you are offensive. But I get what you're saying. You aren't openly racist and homophobic and sexist in every video. Congratulations.
That's the most offensive content I literally put out in 2023. It's tame, all right? I don't do anything crazy, right? And, you know, I don't think that ever, really, I will do anything offensive in the future moving forward like the shit that I used to do.
Didn't you make that slave trade joke literally last summer? Like, what the fuck do you mean you don't intend on doing things offensive in the near future? Did you intend on doing that one? Would you have said in the spring of last year that you were going to do something offensive in the summer? What are you talking about?
But if these companies are going to hold me accountable for stuff that 10 years ago was perfectly acceptable, I'll never be able to do business with anyone. You understand? I mean, it's ridiculous.
I mean, it wasn't perfectly acceptable. It was edgy humor, and that's the point of edgy humor, is that it's not acceptable, or it's on the fringe of being acceptable. So you knew when you were doing it that it wasn't the right thing to do, and you have no one to blame but yourself for that.
It is ridiculous that the stuff that I did 10 years ago, now I'm, you know, actually at this point, not even kidding, at this point, it's 13 years ago.
Yeah, completely ridiculous that you have to be held accountable for the things that you've done. Isn't that a shame, how life works like that?
13 years ago, I did stuff on the internet that somehow gets me canceled today. How does that make sense, right? So, anyway.
Not to keep saying the same thing, but when I was given internet access in the late 2000s, I was a small child, and my parents and every adult always told me, be careful on the internet because what you do on the internet is going to be on there forever. And as a child, I understood that, and I didn't give away personal information or make myself look like a complete asshole, typically. And I most definitely didn't go out of my way to be a complete asshole and offensive at a high level like DSP is here. So even my little baby child brain has more comprehension skills than Dave did in his late 20s, and into his 30s, and then into his 40s.
What I said earlier this year was, if anyone has an idea of a company that I could work with, right, that would not cancel me for shit that I did in the past, then I would work with them. But I don't want to go through the effort of working with people to get a bunch of designs made, setting up an online store, uploading, creating the merch, putting it out there just to get the store closed.
DSP is really the king of making a simple task sound like a complicated one by adding unnecessary steps. Getting in contact with people to design logos doesn't have to be a step. You could make it yourself because it's your merch and you're the only one that's going to make money off of it, and that would be the right thing to do. And there would be more passion in the project that people would appreciate. And just like he does with his YouTube videos, he makes uploading a file to the internet sound like a complicated task as well. Like it's something worth mentioning. You drag and drop a file and hit upload, and then it takes an amount of time. You don't have to do any work to do that. It's drag and drop. You can walk away while it loads. And putting it out there at the end of list of things you have to do is very deceptive because that's a summary of all of the things you already listed and you're adding that to the list of things. So you're just making it sound like it's more complicated than it needs to be.
Because this company, we can't work with you because you're offensive. You know, I'm not going to waste time. So I need to know. And by the way, literally no one told me of a company that's not like that. A lot of people are kind of saying that pretty much all those companies online are like that. And I'm like, well, that's no good. I'm not going to waste time with it then. Right? Again, this is not for profit for me. This is just to be nice to my viewers so they can have some stuff, some collectibles.
If you're doing it for the viewers and it's not for you, then you shouldn't view it as a waste of time. Your main goal should be to put out what your viewers want you to put out. That's what brings them back in the first place. And that's probably why you're in the situation now that you are, where you don't have enough people actually coming back to your content, because you don't actually have passion for anything that you do, and it shows in your work. If you had that passion, you would upload the shit to some random store that you can actually sign on for. And if it doesn't work out, you would just do it again on a different storefront because that's what your viewers want. Just giving up on something that your viewers want or want to see is stupid. But like I said at the beginning of the video, I don't think anyone really wants DSP merch because who would walk around in that shit?
As memorabilia, I made $1 a shirt on Teespring. I didn't give a shit about profits. So yeah, nothing changed. So that's all I'm saying. So, let me know again if anyone knows of a company. I would say what you need to do, are there other people on the internet, right, who could be seen not necessarily as offensive, but I guess controversial, or had a past that's different than their present, but they, people try to cancel them and shit, and they're still able to sell merch. Like, where do they sell their merch? That's a good question. I would love to know. I don't know. So let me know.
Why don't you look it up, Dave? Why does everyone have to let you know everything that you're looking for? You have the same access to a search engine that everybody else has. Too busy with your WWE polls and apology emails?
But I didn't hear anything, so therefore I wasn't gonna set anything up. Again, that's a lot of work, not only for me, but for other people who are gonna design stuff and just to have it wasted time. I don't want to waste everybody's time,
I like that he says it's a lot of work for him and other people, but those other people will never be compensated for the work that they do for him. And that's fucking disgusting.
Derek, I do use the YouTube app to watch some videos. For example, when I watch the Street Fighter videos, yes, I use the YouTube app to watch those. I don't know what that has to do with anything, though.
Yeah, Derek, get the fuck out of here. Why don't you go tweet some porn star? And DSP, quit biting your fucking nails, dude.
Soggy Gambino, you're welcome. He thanked me for the detailed response about merch.
But that's going to do it for today's video. I appreciate you guys coming by and watching. As always, there's going to be a link to the original video in the description. And make sure to check out other Detractor channels and dive deeper into that Snortex.